Understandably, our attention has been focused on the horrors being committed by the Trump regime in terms of the dismantling of our agencies and our institutions, the dismantling of the rule of law, the dismantling of our rights, the horrific treatment of immigrants, many of whom are here legally. And as far as we know, all of them may be here legally. Every once in a while, though, I think we need to refocus or at least broaden our attention to some institutions that we are not forgetting about, because obviously there's a lot going on in the courts. And we know for a fact that the Supreme Court is going to be the end of the line for many of the cases against Donald Trump and his regime. But then the Supreme Court is also hearing other cases and sending signals about how they may be ruling down the road on things that have nothing to do with the unconstitutional, illegal behavior of Donald Trump and his regime. This corrupt, illegitimate supermajority under John Roberts has, for years now, been hell-bent on rewriting the Constitution, or in some cases, just ignoring it entirely. This corrupt, illegitimate supermajority has had in its sights women's reproductive freedom and bodily autonomy, voting rights, which John Roberts decided we no longer needed to concern ourselves with, because in Holder versus Shelby County, Shelby County versus Holder, John Roberts, in his infinite wisdom, decided that racism was no longer operative in the United States of America. How nice for him. And that therefore we did not need such things as voting rights. This corrupt, illegitimate supermajority has, especially in the last few years, had in its sights the rights of the LGBTQ plus community, especially those of transgender people. So let's not forget that even though every once in a while, even this corrupt, illegitimate supermajority, or at least 4 of them, might get something right, might realize that Donald Trump has crossed a line they should not have allowed him to cross, they do not have this country's best interests at heart. And at the end of the day, they believe in neither the Constitution of the United States of America or its democracy. Let's dive in. Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Marriage Trump Live. It is great to be here with you. We start with the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court, which upheld Donald's ban on transgender military members. Today, SCOTUS allowed the Trump regime to enforce its transgender military ban, blocking a lower court order that had paused it. The court's 3 liberal justices, of course, dissented. That would be Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. This comes after Donald's second inauguration, during which he signed after which I should say he signed an executive order barring transgender individuals from serving, which of course he had done. Since then, the Defense Department has prohibited transgender enlistment and began discharging active duty transgender troops. The policy expands on the ban Donald had put into place in 2017 by also targeting active personnel, and shifts its justification, disqualifying individuals with quote-unquote gender dysphoria, a condition affecting about 0.2% of service members on medical grounds. The previous ban, upheld by the court in 2019, was reversed by President Biden because of course it was. It's very important to remember what we're dealing with here. As is often the case with the fascist Republican Party, and has been for a long time now, and is certainly the case, was certainly the case during the first Trump administration, and is now, of course, the case during the Trump regime. They are solutions in search of a problem. There is no problem with transgender people serving in the military. However, because it's a problem for them, they are making up a reason to ban such people. And when you consider, and it's not just transgender people in the military, and this should send a shiver down our spines, because obviously this is just the first salvo in what will be a protracted war against transgender individuals being played out in the Supreme Court. We already see it happening at the government level. We're talking about a tiny percentage of the population. We're talking about the most vulnerable population in this country, thanks in large part to the Trump regime, and also ignorance, misperceptions, and culture wars. What to me is most ironic about military, the Trump regime's wanting to ban transgender military personnel, is that these people actually are serving their country, which is something, of course, that Donald Trump has never done, would never do. He has no respect for any troops at all. And what people like Donald fail to realize, and people like anybody who hates another human being simply because they're different and they don't understand the difference and they're made uncomfortable by it, they don't understand the kind of courage it must take to be transgender and serve in the military in this country, given the levels of ignorance. But what we know is that actual service members, and we saw this with Black people, we saw this with women, and we've seen it with transgender people. Actual service members who have served with all of those populations have no problem with it whatsoever, because they don't care about a person's identity. They only care about their ability to be loyal and to fight with and live among their fellow soldiers. So the perversity of Donald going after transgender military members is offensive, to say the least. But of course, in this instance, because the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court is as homophobic and narrow-minded as he is, they will have his backs. In the fight with the courts in general, it seems that Donald is about to be handed a loss in his pick for top prosecutor for the District of Columbia. A key Republican says he won't back Ed Martin because, and the irony, oh my goodness gracious, the irony is so rich, it makes me want to choke, because of Martin's ties to January 6th. Republican Senator Tom Tillis has informed the White House that he will not support Ed Martin. And this effectively stalls Martin's nomination in the Senate weeks before his temporary appointment expires. Tillis told reporters Tuesday that he met with Martin on Monday evening and was opposing his nomination because of his defense of rioters who breached the Capitol on January 6th. Can somebody explain the cognitive dissonance involved in arriving at that conclusion when the person you support to be president of the United States pardoned almost every single seditionist and insurrectionist who tried to overturn the United States government on his own behalf at his insistence? Can you explain that to me, Senator Tillis? Martin was also a leading figure in Donald's campaign to overturn the 2020 election, and he spoke at a rally on the eve of the violent insurrection and represented defendants who were prosecuted for the attack. Tillis said the following, quote, "We have to be very, very clear that what happened on January 6th was wrong. It was not prompted or created by other people to put those people in trouble. They made a stupid decision and they disgraced the United States by absolutely destroying the Capitol," unquote. Wow. Where were you during the election? What have you had to say, not only about Donald's role in the insurrection, which again he incited and encouraged and helped plan, but about his behavior afterwards, especially since his inauguration this year, Senator Tillis? I have a strange feeling we're never going to hear anything Senator Tillis has to say about that. Before we go further, though, please take a minute, or not even a second, to like and share our videos and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, or rate and follow the podcast. Now, while some Republicans like Tillis actually abide by the rule of law, others, here's more irony, like Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States of America, ignore it. Again, Bondi is the Attorney General and is supposed to uphold the rule of law in this country. She held a press conference this afternoon to announce a drug bust, including the seizure of 11.5 kilograms of fentanyl from the Southwest. When asked about those caught with these drugs, she doubled down on Donald's absolutely insane idea to turn Alcatraz back into a prison. Take a look.
This guy
Is the leader.
He's the number one guy, and I want them to stay in our prisons as long as possible. I've no desire to send them back to Mexico because they were coming across our border illegally. No longer will they be able to do that. But the amount of drugs, the amount of money, the amount of weapons, most of these individuals, if convicted, will remain in American prisons. Perhaps Alcatraz.
Oh, she's so clever. So Bondi doesn't want to deport those she deems criminals. She wants to keep them locked up in Alcatraz forever, which is not just impractical, but it would be enormously expensive. First of all, Alcatraz as a tourist destination, it's a what's called a national monument or something. It's a national park, I think. It generates $60 million a year in tourist dollars. Okay, so that money would be gone forever. Also, Alcatraz closed in 1963, which, trust me, I know these things, was a very, 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 very long time ago. It has been decommissioned. It doesn't have running water. It doesn't have plumbing. It barely has any electricity. And yes, it is true that it's still nicer than Mar-a-Lago, but that does not make it fit for human habitation. Bondi then went on to fearmonger about the fentanyl they seized, warning parents that, quote, "they're putting it in your kids' marijuana," unquote. Take a look.
People need to know, parents need to know, kids need to know. This fentanyl, this bust, these 3 million pills were oxycodone. They put this in Xanax. They put this in Adderall. They put this in Molly, the date drug or the party drug, something called Molly. They put it in cocaine, and they put it in marijuana. And it is to get you so highly addicted that you can't get off it.
Yes, drugs are bad. Drugs are terrible. I concede that. I hate drugs. Okay. But to make this issue all about make it the immigrants' fault is just insane. And it's very racist, and it changes the subject. Like, if you really care about solving the drug problem in America, let's look to the pharmaceutical companies, for example, looking at you Sacklers, right? Let's start taking care of that. And I don't know, maybe let's legalize a lot of drugs so we can regulate them and tax them, which I hate drugs. I hate all drugs, even pot. Can't stand them. I think they should be legal because then we can make them safer. And also we can tax them, which means that we can do what? We can fund rehabilitation programs for people who have problems with addiction. Wouldn't that go a long way towards helping us solve the drug problem? But of course, Bondi just wants to terrify ignorant Americans into thinking that immigrants from Mexico are to blame for all of this country's problems. As a matter of fact, though, before Donald took office, fentanyl deaths were rapidly dropping. The overdose rate had dropped nearly 25%, but now the Trump regime is cutting major government programs that have helped these rates decline. Government drug researchers have been fired. One of the nation's premier narcotics testing labs has furloughed chemists who test the potency of illicit drugs. A Pennsylvania outreach center that distributed thousands of doses of life-saving overdose reversal medications like Narcan has closed. Who does that benefit? Please explain that to me. An Illinois nonprofit that works to reduce overdose death in communities of color is slated to lose grants worth 60% of its budget. The Office of Federal Workers, who conduct the nation's only annual survey on drug use, has been gutted. So it's very difficult to do something about a problem that you no longer have the data to identify or explain. So it begs this question. Do Donald and Bondi care about lowering fentanyl deaths at all? Or do they want to villainize immigrants from Mexico? I think the answer to that is obvious. For them, it is all about fear-mongering. They want to keep their base afraid, and they want to keep the immigrant community terrorized, which will have a chilling effect on even immigrants who were here legally and who are actually citizens. We saw this happen on Cinco de Mayo. There were many public celebrations that were canceled because American citizens who look the wrong way, according to the Trump regime, were worried about getting swept up in raids. That's where we are. This is about dividing us, it's about isolating us, and it's about keeping us afraid. So while the regime plays political games to get positive headlines, to the extent you can call this positive, consumers are really starting to feel the pain of Donald's tariffs. Mother's Day is next Sunday, or this coming Sunday. And thanks to Donald's ridiculous and initially unprovoked trade war, we can expect to pay more for flowers this holiday. Here's a report from CBS News.
We get flowers from Ecuador, Colombia, Canada, Thailand, Holland.
Chances are the stems in your favorite bouquet have traveled, and these days that likely means a tariff.
We're going to do the best we can to sort of keep those prices where they need to be, but people can definitely expect to be paying a little bit more.
80% of flowers consumed in the United States are grown elsewhere. Last year, the U.S. imported $2.2 billion worth of cut flowers and greens, the bulk of it from South America.
The consumer does want to buy local, especially brides. They love to be able to have local flowers featured.
But even small growers like Moonshot Farm here in East Windsor, New Jersey, aren't immune to the fallout from tariffs.
The bulbs that we grow these from are imported from Italy and Holland.
Farmer Rebecca Kutzer-Rice says she just received her first few shipments to be hit with 10% tariffs.
We're estimating it could cost our small business anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 a year, which for a small farm is almost the equivalent of like a salary of another employee.
So much for just the war on Christmas. I mean, the fascist Republicans seem to waging war on all of our holidays. You know, it's not just kid toys anymore. Now it's flowers for Mother's Day. I mean, Donald, I thought he had promised that he was going to make holidays great again. Instead, businesses and consumers are suffering because of his completely unnecessary and actually harmful tariffs. So if you plan to get your mom flowers this weekend, or, your spouse or your whomever celebrates Mother's Day, you might want to factor in an extra 20% at least, and you'll know who to thank for that because nobody is responsible for this other than Donald Trump. Things are only getting worse. The U.S. trade deficit in goods and services soared to a record $140.5 billion in March, meaning year to date, the deficit has increased 92.6%. Imports alone have risen 23.3% so far this year and were $17.8 billion higher just last month, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And just so I'm clear, the price of imports has risen, not the number of imports. That's a different issue entirely. Donald's tariffs, which already amount to more than 145% on China. And I have to point this out every single time. That is an insane number. Imagine everything you buy is 1.5 times more expensive than it used to be. That's craziness. Those tariffs are set to increase in under 65 days. After they were initially paused, companies and consumers are rushing to import goods before these new tariffs kick in. Imports of consumer goods in March rose to an all-time high, led mainly by increase in pharmaceutical imports. The U.S. gross domestic product shrank 0.3% in the first quarter because of the biggest drag from net exports in more than half a century, and that is according to economists at Wells Fargo. Other parts of the economy also show signs of slowing. Consumer spending rose 1.8% in the first quarter, the weakest increase since mid-2023. And today, when asked about whether or not he negotiated any tariff deals, Donald's answer was a resounding no. Take a look.
Just to finish, we also have a situation, because everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? We don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals right now, Howard, if we wanted. We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market.
Okay, that makes no sense, first of all. And secondly, nobody wants to talk to him. Do you remember a couple of years, it feels like years. No, a couple of weeks ago, Donald was telling anybody who would listen that he had indeed had meetings with China about tariffs. Today, he was asked that question during an Oval Office meeting, press briefing rather, with Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. And he's like, nope, I've not spoken with China. 2 weeks ago, whenever he was telling the lie that they had spoken, China was saying, absolutely not. We have no interest in speaking with this thug anyway. Last month, and again, just now, we said, nope, they have to make a deal with us. They have to come to us. Last month, Donald claimed to have already been in talks with 200 countries about trade deals. A remark so hyperbolic that it sent members of administration scrambling to make it make sense. Because I don't know if you all know this. There aren't over 200 countries on the planet. There are only 195 countries on Earth anyway. I don't know. Maybe he was including Mars. As long as Donald is in charge, there is no end to this trade war. And even Fox is starting to question Donald's so-called strategy here. Watch this.
That's great. But you use the word admission, like if you want admission to this market. I might say that the reason the market is down is because they look at admission in a different way. What happened to the 200 deals that Donald Trump talked about last week that, quote, we have already had and gotten done? Or, there are 200 deals, et cetera. I think this might be perceived by the market as an admission that they don't have a deal yet with any country, let alone Canada or India, because we were hearing so many rumors about India, right, Dagan? I mean, this was last week. And Scott Bessent said yesterday we would be very close to a deal that we will announce sometime, possibly this week. Where are these deals? And now suddenly we don't have to make a deal.
Well, you know what the saying is, when you lose Fox, actually, I don't think that's a saying, but that's remarkable. Fox is not covering over this stuff anymore. I mean, it could just be the economic reporters at Fox, because again, like, that's playing with fire, you know. I'm not that that's ever stopped Fox before, but maybe there are just some people there who are not willing to cover for the Trump regime, because what's being done is so harmful to the American economy and the American people. And two, the lies are so obvious and easily verifiable. So nobody wants to go out on a limb for this egregious mendacity anymore. Especially since Donald himself cannot keep track of his own lies. So it's better then to report on the truth, because that way you don't get yourself into more trouble. All right. We have come to one of my favorite times of day, the emotional support moment. Today's ESM, as we like to call it, comes with a bit of a twist. Now, we're usually, we have a lot of cat people here, as you can tell from the fact that we talk about them so much. We play a lot of cat videos, and we get a lot of cat fees, or I should say fees for cat treats, which is awesome. But today we have a different kind of four-legged creature of the dog variety. Now, we love dogs too, obviously. In Arizona, a little boy got lost out in the desert overnight. And if you've ever been in the desert at night, especially this time, it gets very cold and very dark, and that's scary. So while search teams were doing their best to find the little boy, it was this awesome pup who actually tracked him down and saved the day. So take a look at this.
We are learning more about the little boy who survived an entire night lost in the northern Arizona wilderness. Authorities say 2-year-old Bowden Allen left his home near Sedona around 5 p.m. Monday while his dad was working on the house and his mom was changing their other baby's diaper.
So within 10 minutes of her changing the diaper, having him right next to her, she looks down. He's nowhere to be found.
More than 50 volunteers joined the search. At one point, a police helicopter crew spotted 2 mountain lions in the area, appearing to stalk those in the search team.
They had to continually warn our searchers on the ground because there were mountain lions that were actually tracking those teams.
Then yesterday, after a 16-hour search, a rancher says his dog named Buford spotted a boy walking on his property. Deputies responded and confirmed the little boy was Bowden. They say the overnight journey has taken Bowden 7 miles away from home.
We plan on going up and visiting that dog in a week or so with a big steak with a bow wrapped around it.
Oh, a steak with a bow wrapped around it. He probably just wants the steak. Save the bow. That's amazing. And also, that little guy, and I don't mean the puppy, that little boy, he went 7 miles. Wow. And I have to be honest with you. That dog looks like it's been through it. So good for you, puppy, for doing such a spectacular job. That was awesome. Okay, I'm going to get to your questions and comments now. Regina, thank you as always for that. Question. Donald has said several times now, they rigged the election for me. What the hell? What Dem is going to stand up and demand action? None of them? I just, unfortunately, guess what's done is done. It is a little weird, though. He has on several occasions made it clear that, at least as far as he thinks, Elon Musk tampered with the voting machines in Pennsylvania. Okay. But listen, there was a lot that happened in the 2016 election that should have been at least investigated? Nothing. You know, there are sitting Supreme Court justices who should not be in the Supreme Court. Brett Kavanaugh should have been investigated. Nope. So I don't know. I guess, hey, once you're in, you're in. Congratulations. Yeah, it's not a great system. Speaking of which, Roxanne, thank you so much. Our first cat treat fee of the evening. Love it. Julia, thank you very much, Julia. Oh, this is a new one, but I like it. Orange is bold fee. Yeah, I think that can be described as informed speculation. Suki56 in the house. Welcome and thank you so much, Suki. Let's see what we got here. Question. Greetings, Mary. Thank you for keeping life sane. I understand that Alcatraz is a look over here moment and not over there, but is Donald opening the prison as a summer home? Just asking. Well, as I said, I believe it's nicer than Mar-a-Lago, so that might not be a terrible idea. Pretty sure, though, San Francisco does not want him anywhere near them, so probably not. Also, how would they get all of the gold leaf out there? Because there are no container ships coming to America anymore. Julia, thank you as always very much. It's very generous of you. Oh, how cool is this? I'm graduating next week, Fee. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Good for you. Awesome. Douglas, thank you very much, Douglas. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. I was rejected by Tufts, Fee. Was there supposed to be a date there? I don't know, but I'm very sorry you were rejected by Tufts. That's not nice of them. I'm not going to mention where I went to college. I'm guessing you know, but maybe you don't. But I'm sorry. That was not nice of them at all. Suki56 again. Awesome. Thank you. Comment. Wow, she knew a lot about illegal drugs. This is from actual firsthand knowledge. Just asking. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder. She also talked about mollies a lot. I don't know. She's a very terrifying person. Pam Bondi. Like slippery and dangerous. Ghostly Air 59. Oh, this is so cool. Thank you, Ghostly Air 59. Quote, my addiction to Mary's videos, Fee. I like that, Fee. And that's a kind of addiction I can approve of. Just grabbed your newest book. Can't wait to dive in tonight. Thank you, Mary. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that and looking forward to hearing what you think. Mary, thank you so much as always, Mary. Hello, Mary. There you go. Question, what's your opinion on whether or not they get their Project 2025 agenda completed? Oh, it's almost completely completed by now. I think by the end of the next 100 days, done deal. Sorry to say. Or at least like everything will be in, all the infrastructure will be in place. That's for sure. Mary, thank you so much. And again, my favorite kind of fee, kitten treats fee. Yep. Gary, comment, happy Mother's Day. Mary, thank you very much. And actually, happy Mother's Day to everybody who celebrates. Oh, and look, Canadian in the house. Excellent. Keep it up, guys. I'm very curious to know what you guys thought of your Prime Minister's performance today. I have thoughts. In fact, we made a video about it. Teresa, which you should check out. I should also add. Teresa, comment, there will be urns of fresh flowers all over Mar-a-Lago land. Yeah, there will indeed. Yep, at taxpayer expense, no doubt. So, like, they don't care if there's a 20% increase or a 50% increase because they're not spending their own money. They're spending our money. Dumpster Diving Dragon, thank you so much for being a super sticker and for that. Elvira, thank you so very much for that. That's fantastic. Comment, Dear Dr. Mary, since today I want to wish you and to all the mothers of your community a happy Mother's Day. Thank you so very much. That's very kind of you. Yes, I co-sign that. Nastasia, I believe. I hope I got that right. Comment, I've been swapping out Alcatraz for Azkaban. Azkaban in general conversation. That's how seriously I take Donald on this matter. That's as seriously as you should take him. I personally have been saying Alcaraz, which is the name of one of the top male tennis players in the world. So I keep making that mistake. I like Azkaban better. I think Azkaban would be a better place for Donald to serve his prison term than Alcatraz, actually. You know, what's a Death Eater among friends? From Substack, Emily says, the Canadian Prime Minister was clearly struggling to hide his disgust when Donald said, Canada loves us. Yeah, he was hiding a lot of things, I believe. His contempt, his anger, his complete mystification that he had to sit next to such an incredible idiot and keep a straight face. You know, it was hard work for him, I'm guessing. I think he did it a little bit too well. I would have liked to see a little bit more contempt, but you know, I get it. Christina, question. Do you think Donald looks more worn out than usual lately? I think he looks unwell. But whether it's more than usual or more consistently, I'm not really sure. I try not to look at him very much, quite honestly. But yeah, the last couple of times I've seen him, he's wearing huge amounts of makeup. Or he looks very, worn out is a good way to put it. And dare I say sleepy? All right. Bill, thank you so much as always for that. I have some super stickers to thank. Cindy, thanks so very much. Nadat, thank you very much for that. Jan, thank you. Awesome. Pam, thank you very much as well. Deshaun, thank you so very much. It's very generous of you. Comment, I believe. Hi, Mary. I hope you had a wonderful day. I want you to know, I heard that Donald is opening some prison that was closed since. Oh, I think, sorry, that was a repetition. Yeah, since, sorry, there was a second part of that, sorry. Because the prison had been closed since, yes, that's Alcatraz. It's closed in 1963. I think part of it is because Al Capone was in Alcatraz, and Donald has some weird affinity with Al Capone. Like he thinks he's a badder guy than Al Capone was, which is creepy and weird and should also have been disqualifying. But, you know, America. In the middle of nowhere, thank you so much for that. Sadly, still in the middle of nowhere fee. Well, we're going to have to do something about that, but we appreciate it very, very much. All right, guys, that I believe does it for us today. Thank you so much for being with us. I will programming note. I have an event that I need to go to tomorrow night, so there will be no Mary Trump Live tomorrow, Wednesday, but we'll be back at it again Thursday and Friday. Generally speaking, every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We have videos dropping all the time, so please do check them out. We have a video today out about the whole Alcatraz issue and one about the meeting in the Oval Office with Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney. So check those out. And like, seriously, the easiest way to support us and fight the YouTube algorithm, which is absolutely hating on us lately, just subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, and that way you'll be alerted anytime new videos drop. Like and share our videos, comment on our videos. That helps a lot as well. To everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and my Substack, thank you so very much for that. And anybody listening to the podcast, to all of our super stickers, everybody giving us gifts. We really count on you guys. So we so appreciate your continued support. To our awesome moderators who do a phenomenal job. And of course, to my amazing team for keeping this going. I appreciate you guys very much. And that is it for us tonight. I will see you all Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, please check out the videos that are going to be dropping over the next couple of days, and stay safe and be kind. Bye, everybody.